Hello again and welcome to another episode of the Franchise Everything podcast, where we talk about everything and anything franchising. As you'll be able to hear in the background, we're at the Melbourne Franchising and Business Opportunities Expo, and we're doing a live audience, live stream podcast on this occasion, and we are joined by the esteemed and world-renowned Greg Nathan.
Thank you.
It's hard to say that one, Greg. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great.
Excellent, mate. So for those who don't know, describe what you do in franchising, because many in franchising will know you.
Yep. So I guess my life's work is about understanding how to have great relationships between franchisees and the franchisor. So all the work we do around that is about how do we help people foster that. We call it a profitable partnership.
And that is the topic of this one. So we decided for this one, because we've spoken before a couple of times on the podcast, but I thought, you know, your work has been so impactful to so many people. And I remember it when I was first in franchising 15, 20 years ago. And it's particularly this book that we've got here called Profitable Partnerships, which is, it's a seminal work in franchising, really. I think it's really groundbreaking in franchising. How long ago did you write this? And that's what this episode's going to be about. So tell me about the book.
Well, look, the genesis of the book started when I was a franchisee and I was going through experiences in my relationship with the franchisor, to be honest, which I didn't understand. I used to get very frustrated and angry at times, and I wasn't quite sure who to talk to or how to deal with this. So I kept thinking about, is it just
get
me?
This a bit closer so you'll get that mic. Yeah. It's quite a loud noise audience. Go.
Yeah, so the genesis of the book, I was thinking when I was a franchisee, is it just me or is there something going on here? And then I started to notice similar trends with other franchisees. And when I joined the franchisor as an executive leading marketing and operations, I also noticed there was some interesting dynamics between interpersonal dynamics. And I thought one day I must write this up. And so I eventually got around to writing that book in 1999.
Mm-hmm. It's a few years ago. What we?
No, sorry. Let's just repeat.
Let's go again.
Yeah, that's not right. Yeah, no, it was 1999. That's correct.
Yeah, all the years roll into one, don't they?
That's right.
Yeah. So you were with a bakery business, bakery franchise first as a franchisee, weren't you? And you were quite passionate about that, and you were doing study at uni in psychology.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's where we're going. We've had a previous chat. Check out the previous podcast if you want to know more about Greg and his whole story.
Yeah. So when I got into the franchise, I was a qualified psychologist.
Yep.
And a franchisee that I had worked for while I was studying to be a psychologist. Had contacted me to say would I like to go into business with him.
Yeah. So profitable partnerships. You wrote that in 1999. What are the broad themes of the book? And particularly I want to go from the aspect of why do you think it's resonated? What's connected so much with franchising? Because obviously my guess is that the pain points you were experiencing in your relationships with the franchisor were global.
Yeah.
Is that what you found?
I think the first point that we need to come back to is when you run a small business, it's 24/7. It's your life. And so most of the chapters in Profitable Partnerships cover elements of life, not just franchising specifically. So there's a chapter on change and how do we adapt to change. There's a chapter on stress and how do we deal with pressure. And there's also chapters on how to maintain good relationships with other people and the franchisor as well. But the theme running through the book is very much around relationships largely.
Yeah. I think we spoke about it before, you must have been quite advanced talking about stress and everything in business and so on in life. That wasn't a 1999 thing, really.
No, in fact, I've always been fascinated by stress and pressure and how people cope with the demands of life, because that's really what psychologists do largely. So when I got into franchising, I was applying a lot of the psychology that I'd learnt into the business and the franchising environment, and I could see there wasn't a lot being written about this or talked about because it was seen as a sign of weakness. And at that time, stress was seen as a good thing. You know, you've got to be stressed and push yourself, power through. And I remember one franchisor, I was running a seminar on this, and he said, hang on, if I get rid of my stress, nothing will happen. And we had a very interesting conversation. And at the end of it, he says, oh, I get it. Because things happen when you're clear-headed. It doesn't mean you take away your motivation, but it means that you're acting proactively, not reactively. So you can still push yourself, but you're doing it not because you're stressed, but because you are goal-driven. It's a different thing.
So you talk about change and change management. Now, there's always a lot of change. Everyone always says, right now we're going through so much change. People say that basically every year since day dot. But now feels very much we're at the tipping point of especially technology getting into our lives. So how do you approach change management through that book in helping small business owners and franchise partners?
Well, look, the fact is there is more change now than ever in history.
Yeah.
So I think that's a fact. And it's happening at social levels. I heard you in an interview previously saying that thumbs up are no longer in or something.
Unbelievable.
So there's all these nuances coming in because of social media and so on. So all that's changing very quickly. But AI is obviously changing the landscape about how people are going to be conducting their businesses and things. Some of us are driving some of these changes and are feeling very comfortable about the things we're in control of. And often we can be on the receiving end of change, where it's almost like the change is being done to us.
Yeah.
And I think we need to understand, if you're involved in a change program in a business, are you on the driving end of the change or on the receiving end of the change? Your experience will be different. Normally far more stressful when you're on the receiving end because you don't feel you've got the control. So a lot of the stuff in the book about change is around the psychology of change and understanding, if you're on the receiving end, how to manage yourself. If you're on the driving end, how do you get engagement from other people? Those principles are constant, but I have to say
they don't change. They're mechanics, aren't they?
Yeah, so the change principles don't change, but the context in which we're operating in is very different now. It's far more intense. A lot of the burnout and stress that people are experiencing is a result of the stress of the change that people have felt over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's kind of
it's sort of built up a bit, hasn't it?
A result of being on the receiving end of change with the uncertainty and the anxiety.
Yeah. So the term profitable partnerships, when that came out in this book in 1999,
yes,
was that a difficult thing to get across to franchisors?
No, it absolutely resonated. In fact, I was quite surprised, pleasantly surprised.
Because that would have been my initial thought, that would have been a bit of pushback.
Yeah. Look, the publishers who had originally contracted me to write the book had changed hands. And the new owners of the firm said, look, we don't want to proceed with this book. We don't think a book on franchise relationships has got a market. So I then decided to self-publish because I believed it did have a market and there was a need. The first 1,000 books that we printed sold out within a few weeks. And so, and I was told that a best-selling book in Australia is 3,000 books. We've now sold 250,000 of these books.
Of this really niche topic.
On a very niche topic. And still selling very strongly overseas in Australia. So the book resonated then. It still resonates because people understand that success in business and in life is largely around how do you manage your relationships with other people.
So how does it get used now? I mean, do you find companies are approaching you wanting a copy for all their franchise partners? How are you seeing it? How does the book Profitable Partnerships, what's its 25th anniversary, isn't it?
Yes.
How does it get used? Is it used very differently to what it was when you first envisaged it?
No. Probably a lot of the franchise groups are more mature now. The sector has evolved, but the use of the book is still the same. Many franchise companies will give it to their franchisees when they come into training as part of the induction process and the education process about what does it mean. There's a lot of tips in the book about how to be a great franchisee and a successful franchisee. One of our clients just bought 250 copies to give to every one of their existing franchisees at their convention last month. But they also bought another 80 books to give to all their head office staff as well. And then I went in and ran a profitable partnership seminar for the head office staff. So we approach it from both sides in the book. If you're a franchisor, there's useful stuff in there. And if you're a franchisee, there's amazing tips in the book as well to help you.
So interesting, you mentioned going in and doing training on it. Has the training you deliver around this, I imagine it's like the practical implementation of this, or you just elaborate more from what you've done in the book. Has that changed much? Has that evolved much? Or is it still, the theme still the same? I'm interested in what you see now out there about how much change there has been in the way that franchisors are interacting with franchise partners.
Look, generally speaking, people are more educated around stress and relationships. So if you say the empathy word, people go, I read Brené Brown's book on empathy and so on.
Or I saw a TikTok on it.
So Intellectually, people are more sophisticated in their understanding of some of these concepts and how the brain works and the flight-fight response and so on. At a practical level, the question is, are people practicing things that are going to helping them?
Yeah.
So the training has evolved in the sense that I need to probably explain a little bit at a more sophisticated level about some of the concepts, because that's what people are looking for, about the mechanisms behind these things. But I always bring it back to what are the things you can do now to help you to feel less stressed and have better relationships? And what does that look like in practice, not the theory?
And what sort of sessions do you mainly do now? So I know you do a lot of training. You were just up in Brisbane, I think, weren't you, the other day?
Yeah, we
so
had
what sort of training do you do
group
on the backbone of this?
Yeah. So when we get a group of people live in a room, we do a lot of interaction, a lot of round tables, a lot of small group discussions. We also do a lot of Zoom training, and we use breakout groups a lot. So 60% of all our training, 60% or more, would be people talking with each other.
Yep.
And then the rest is me presenting concepts and ideas.
How have you noticed the technology enabler? Is it an enabler for you to make it easy for you to do your training and get the message across, the profitable partnership message across? Because I see you doing a lot of stuff Zoom internationally, where I know you used to travel a lot overseas.
Yeah.
Have you seen much change there from a training perspective, utilising technology now, or is it with the implementation, with the uptake by people and actually using it? What have you seen?
Look, technology does allow you to use video more cleverly and so on. But my basic principle is you need to explain things to people very simply in the language that they understand. And I think that's still consistent. So whether I'm on a video or talking, that principle will be the same, down to earth, no jargon language. And we need to give people the opportunity to ask questions and to discuss with a peer, what does that concept mean to me now, and bring it to life a little bit. So those principles are the same.
Excellent. All right. Well, I had to reach across and get it. This is the book, Profitable Partnerships. We're going to give one away. We'll give one away, won't you? Yeah, we'll give it.
Absolutely.
We'll keep one copy and I'll give it, because I've got to keep my copy.
Yeah.
All right, I'll get one now. I've got one years ago. I think I moved a couple of times and we'll get lost and everything. But, mate, that'd be great. Thank you so much, Greg, for joining us on this, mate. I really appreciate all your support. That's Greg Nathan, people, Profitable Partnerships. Where can they get a copy, Greg? You want to?
They can go to our website at franchiserelationships.com or go to Amazon and you can get it.
Yeah, and we'll put a link in the show notes as well, so you can get that as well. So, once again, thanks for joining us, mate. Much appreciated. And that's it for another episode of the Franchise Everything podcast. If you like this stuff, please support some people doing some great things in franchising to help people be more profitable and happier in their lives and businesses. And we'll catch you in the next one soon.